For more on this, we're joined by Geoffrey Nice, a law professor at Gresham College and former lead prosecutor at the UN International Criminal Court. Geoffrey, it's good to have you. You know, every time humanity does this, which is the worst that humanity can produce, the world says never again, and then it happens again. But there's little that others can do, right, to intervene other than fight a war that generally nobody wants to have.
Yes and no. First of all, you're making the assumption that this is genocide, and it may or may not be proved to be genocide. That depends not on the scale of the atrocities committed, but on the state of mind of Putin and those who rule with him, if there are others. And it's a very particular state of mind that is required. As to whether nothing can be done or something can be done, the Genocide Convention was a very important document because it was prepared and signed by people who knew what had happened in two horrifying world wars. And it always looks forward. You have to have in mind that the Article 1 says that the contracting parties, the states that signed it, says that genocide is something which they undertake to prevent and to punish. That undertaking has been said by the court to be effective on any state that signed up. Immediately they see genocide happening. And it is for that reason, I have to tell you unhappily, that no state, none, since the creation of the convention, has said we are acting under that convention. They never act in advance.
Yes.
Now, so you ask that nothing has been done. Yes, nothing has been done under the convention. And states come in and act as they did in Bosnia after the event or when the event is nearly finished. For other reasons. They don't say they're acting under the Genocide Convention. They could, and if they had done so with a calibrated response to pending genocides for the last 70 years, we'd be in a very different place.
Now, we want to clarify, we're not saying that genocide is currently happening in Ukraine, but we did reiterate that people like the Ukrainian president and some other world leaders have accused Russia of genocide. But in your vast experience, Geoffrey, as the prosecutor on the International Criminal Court, what insights have you gained on this subject, which is such a difficult one?
Well, there are many insights that I think I've gained. The first is the one I've just given, which is that states are, all of them, particularly Great Britain, by the way, but also other states, reluctant ever to acknowledge that genocide is happening or may be about to happen because of what it would require of them. The second insight is that genocide is not in fact and necessarily the worst of all crimes that can be committed. The same acts can constitute, same acts of similar gravity, identical gravity, can be reflected as crimes against humanity. And some of the gravest crimes in the world are not genocide. The Twin Towers, for example, was never genocide.
Good point.
A bomb would not be genocide in London. Sorry, yes. So those are some of the insights. But the real insight that we have to get hold of is that of the people who drafted the convention, namely that when you see terrible things about to happen, and all those that you mentioned in your introduction are the most terrible of things, governments have to act and not to say, trade trumps our intention to stop this. They've got to get in there and they've got to act. And it's failure to act. For example, in the smaller, in numerical terms, genocide in Bosnia, why did it happen? It happened because the countries were not prepared ever to say it was a genocide coming, and they were not prepared to use force, and they were not prepared to put their own troops at risk.
Very true. Geoffrey, excellent to have you. Thank you so much.